Hey Falcons fans! Coming with the latest updates straight to your door, so let's get right to it. Hit that like button and let's get started. Our center Drew Dalman, a key part of our offensive line, will miss the next 4 games after suffering a left ankle sprain during the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Dalman was injured in the second quarter, and it was confirmed that he is going on injured reserve. That means we will have to play without him for at least a month. Tough blow, right? Dalman's absence was felt immediately. After that, Kirk Cousins missed 2 consecutive snaps before backup Ryan Neuzil came in and helped smooth things over. While Neuzil did an admirable job, losing a starting center always changes the momentum of the game. Cousins mentioned after the game that he is confident he will build more chemistry with Neuzil during practice, but it is clear that Dalman's injury will shake things up a bit. And that's not all. Right tackle Caleb McGarry also left in the second quarter with a knee injury. We're still waiting on more details on how long he'll be out, but it's another significant loss for the offensive line. Head coach Raheem Morris is expected to provide an update later this week, so stay tuned for more on McGarry. To fill those gaps, the Falcons signed veteran offensive lineman Elijah Wilkinson to the active roster and added Matt Hennessy to the practice squad. Wilkinson and Hennessy both have experience as starters in Atlanta, so they're familiar with offensive line coach Dwayne Ledford's system and should be able to step in quickly. But can they help keep the offense running smoothly while Dalman and McGarry recover? Now, I want to hear from you. How do you think these injuries will impact the team going forward? Do you think Neuzil and the other replacements can hold down the fort? Let's talk about the 4 Falcons who deserve a little more pressure after their last matchup. First, we have Terry Fontenot. Now, he didn't take the field on Sunday, but his 2024 recruiting class was nowhere to be found either. It's about as bad as it gets when the majority of your class is inactive, and your first-round pick is sitting on the bench for the next 2 years. Falcons fans, it's hard not to feel frustrated here. Fontenot's recruiting record has been more misses than hits, but this 2024 class? It's shaping up to be a complete bust so far. No impact rookies on the field, no game changers. Can you imagine if we had a first-round defensive back or edge rusher to stop the Chiefs? Or if the front office had beefed up the offensive line? It's hard to believe it wouldn't have made a difference. If the Falcons don't turn things around, Fontenot's seat is going to be very hot. Next, let's talk about Zach Robinson, our offensive coordinator. To be fair, Robinson's offense scored 14 quick points before the injury set in, and he did a good job adjusting late in the game. But when it mattered most, Robinson's 4th down play was baffling. Instead of keeping it simple, we ran a run to the outside with Allgeier against a defense that had been closing the edges all night. Why not a QB sneak or a straight run up the middle? Sometimes rookie play callers overthink the situation, and that's exactly what happened here. It was a decision that cost the Falcons a chance to win, plain and simple. Now, it's hard to criticize a former Georgia Bulldog, but Lorenzo Carter just isn't cutting it. If you can't contain the quarterback or stop the run, what's your role? Carter hasn't shown that he can get to the quarterback consistently, and when he does, it feels like a miracle. Atlanta needs to start looking for alternatives because Carter isn't making the impact we need. Sure, Arnold Ebiketie is an option, but he's still inconsistent when it comes to finishing plays. Neither has proven that they can handle a starting spot. It's time for the Falcons to explore the free agent market or a trade if we want to remain competitive this season. Finally, let's talk about Troy Anderson. Our defense has done a good job of bending but not breaking, and they've given the offense multiple chances to win games. But Anderson? He's a liability right now. We were all excited after his rookie season, but his instincts and tackling have been spotty this year. He's been missing plays, and his speed, or lack thereof, is costing us yards. Falcons fans, it's starting to look like Anderson isn't the answer we hoped he would be. The defense is missing Nate Landman, and if Anderson doesn't step up, those missed plays are only going to become more noticeable as the season progresses. Okay, Falcons fans, it's your turn. What do you guys think? Does Terry Fontenot deserve to be on the hot seat after the 2024 recruiting class? Was Zach Robinson's play the reason we lost this game? And what do you think of Lorenzo Carter and Troy Anderson's performances so far? Now, we all saw it. The Falcons were there. We had every reason to believe we would come away from that game with a win. Atlanta drove down the field, the defense came through when it mattered most, and we found ourselves in scoring range once again. But there was one moment that left us shaking our heads, the pass interference call on Kyle Pitts in the end zone. It was blatant, it was frustrating, and it took away what could have been the game-winning touchdown. Even though the referees ate their whistle, our Falcons still had a chance. We got the ball back, marched back into position, and then, well, let's talk about that fourth down call by Zach Robinson. Look, I'm not here to throw anyone under the bus, but it's hard not to feel like that call cost us dearly. Instead of keeping up the pace, we stalled, and that's all it wrote. The Chiefs escaped with a win, but here's the thing, this game proved something important, our Falcons can play against anyone. This wasn't just a moral victory, it was a statement that the Falcons are legitimate contenders. We went toe-to-toe with the defending Super Bowl champions and showed that we can beat them. But what's even more interesting is how this game also highlighted some big cracks in the Chiefs' armor, specifically with one of their biggest stars, Travis Kelce. For years, Kelce has been Patrick Mahomes' weapon of choice, the guy you could always count on to make a game-changing play. But something is different this season. Kelce managed just 30 yards on 4 receptions in this game, and Falcons fans, you've never had a reason to fear him. Think about that for a second. In the past, Kelce has been a matchup nightmare, a player who could single-handedly destroy a defense. But not this time. Through 3 games this season, Kelce doesn't even have 100 receiving yards combined. That's right, he's only down to 69 yards total, and the season is already in full swing. Whether it's Father Time finally catching up to him or the distraction of his well-publicized relationship, Kelce just doesn't look like the same player we've seen in years past. Look, we're not saying Kelce is finished, yet. But this extreme drop in production is alarming. For a guy who was a central figure in the Chiefs' Super Bowl run last season, it's shocking to see how little impact he's had thus far. Could he be saving the best for later in the season? Maybe. But through the first 3 games, the Chiefs have been forced to rely on Rashee Rice and his defense to get the job done. Even Mahomes seems to be looking for answers when it comes to his veteran tight end. The Falcons' defense, which has struggled against tight ends in the past, has had no trouble containing Kelce, and that should tell you something. It's not just a slow start, it could be a sign that age has finally caught up with one of the NFL's all-time greats. So what do you think, Falcons Nation? Is this the beginning of the end for Travis Kelce, or is he just saving the best for later in the season? What about our Falcons? Do you think we've proven we can compete with the best teams in the league? Let me know in the comments below. And before you go, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest Falcons news. Go Falcons!